I'll be honest, the moment you start scrolling through cheap keyboard bundles you get a nasty feeling that you're about to spend a lot of money on something that will sound thin, feel flimsy, and sit in the corner gathering dust. That hesitation is real, and I've felt it myself when I was looking for a stage-ready piano that could also double as a synth and organ in one go. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Nord Stage 488 key bundle tries to answer that exact worry. It's not just a keyboard, it comes with a pair of Nord Piano Monitor V2 speakers, a sturdy music stand, and a pair of professional studio headphones. In theory, you could unpack everything, plug it into a gig venue or a home studio, and be ready to play within minutes. The question is whether that promise holds up once you start using it day to day. First off, the Keybed. Nord's fully weighted action is something you notice the moment you sit down. The hammer feel is close enough to an acoustic piano that pianists moving from a traditional instrument won't need a long adjustment period. When I tried a few Bach preludes, the notes sank in just like a grand, but there's a slight digital snap at the bottom that some players call the Nord bite. It's not a flaw, it's just the signature response that separates it from cheap synth keyboards that feel like rubber. The real selling point of the Stage 4 is how it folds together three classic instruments. You can pull up a classic organ drawbar setting, layer a warm piano patch underneath, then throw in a synth lead on top. In a live band context, that means you can cover the entire keyboard spectrum without swapping gear mid-song. I tested the organ section by running a classic Hammond progression through a small club PA. The rotary speaker simulation felt authentic enough that the audience didn't even notice I was using a digital source. The synth layers, on the other hand, are surprisingly deep. You can stack up to 4 voices, each with its own envelope, which is something you rarely see in an 88-key instrument at this price point. Now, let's talk about the bundled extras. The Nord Piano Monitor V2 speakers are built for stage use. They're compact, have a clear mid-range, and can hit 100 dB without distortion. When I set them up in my living room for a practice session, the sound filled the space without the need for a subwoofer. The headphones are the sort you'd find in a professional studio, tight bass response, good isolation, and a comfortable fit for long rehearsals. The stand, while simple, is sturdy enough to survive a few trips to the gig bus. Altogether, the bundle saves you the headache of hunting down compatible gear that matches the Nord's tone engine. But there are trade-offs you need to know before you hit buy. First, the weight. The keyboard alone is nearly 30 kilograms, and when you add the monitors and stand you're looking at a total of about 50 kilograms. That's fine if you have a permanent spot in a studio, but it makes frequent road travel a bit of a chore. You'll likely need a dedicated case or at least a strong cart to move it safely. Second, the interface. Nord's menu system is deep, which is great for flexibility, but it also means there's a learning curve. I spent about an hour just digging through the layers and split point options before I could set up a quick patch for a live set. If you're a beginner who wants a plug-and-play piano, you might feel a bit overwhelmed. Who should buy this bundle? If you're a gigging keyboardist who needs a single instrument that can convincingly emulate piano, organ, and synth without hauling multiple keyboards, the Nord Stage 4 is a solid answer. It also makes sense for a home composer who wants a high-quality piano feel plus the ability to experiment with sound design in the same package. The included monitors give you a decent reference system, so you can start mixing right away without buying separate speakers. Who should skip it? If you're primarily a classical pianist looking for a practice instrument, you'll probably appreciate the key action but might not need the synth and organ sections, and you could find a less expensive weighted keyboard that's lighter to move. Also, if you're on a tight budget, the bundle's price point is higher than buying a basic digital piano plus a separate pair of speakers later. In that case, you might consider a more stripped-down option and add the extra modules only when you truly need them. From a practical standpoint, the strengths are obvious: authentic key feel, 3-in-1 sound engine, and a ready-to-play stage package. The weaknesses are the heft and the steeper learning curve for the sound layering workflow. In real-world use, I found that once you get past the initial menu navigation, the ability to switch from a lush piano ballad to a gritty organ solo in the same song is a game changer. It saves you the time and mental bandwidth of juggling multiple keyboards or external